Ladies and gentlemen, to another video. My name is Freddie, and today I'm going to actually be doing a different style of video because I'm just going to be trying out different styles, and let me know what you guys think about it. But I kind of just want to MVP my YouTube videos, and what I mean by that is, if anybody doesn't know what MVP is, it's minimum viable product. Okay, so it's basically what can you do to have the same product, like get the same end result, but with a lot less steps. And what that means for me on this YouTube channel is not becoming the best editor or the best script writer or the best thumbnail creator or X, Y, and Z, right? All the things you can do with a professional grade film. Like for me, I'm just going to MVP my product because I want to make a YouTube channel where I just kind of share value, create a network of people that are useful for me, but I'm useful for them, and the people around us are, intertwined the same. So we can all kind of fail forward, try new things together, whatever new thing you are in, whatever endeavor it is, you can kind of create a group around it, and then people can push you for accountability, or you can just really see that failing is in fact the most important source of information and the best source of information that you have to improve what you're doing wrong. For me, I'm uploading these videos like this because I want to crush the fear of axophobia, as Bradley calls it, which is the fear of other people's opinions or criticisms. And I think the fear of that is really crushing to a lot of people's dreams and limiting, because even though that sounds kind of harsh, because truly fearing other people's opinions of you when they're already going to come, right? With anything you do, people are going to put their opinions in, right? If you fear that, it will stop and change your actions. It will change your behaviors. It'll change what you do outside. It will change what groups you hang around. It'll change what you do with those groups. Everything about your life can change if you fear the opinions of other people. Not to mention, as I said previously, if failure is the best and mistakes are the best source of information you have to correct what you're doing to make better of yourself in any endeavor you're doing, then avoiding people telling you your mistakes is bad. Being around a bunch of yes men, bad, right? Red flags, dude. You're not gonna get what you're doing if you fear other people's opinions. You just won't. Unless you really keep it to yourself, but then you'll never be able to follow your passion as a career or as a, we'll get more into this, right? So I'm going to tell you how, as I upload these videos, that's kind of what I'm going to be doing. Just if people want to tell me criticisms about how good or bad the videos are, I'm not a professional, so that's fine. Send them my way. All criticisms are appreciated. Hate tells me exactly what I need to fix. So if something's boring, tell me. If something, you get it. So if anyone's read Ray Dalio's Principles of Life and Work, think of radical transparency. That's how we'll keep this channel. Now, continuing on. What is the topic that I'm going to talk about today? I think I'm going to speak about, for the next few minutes, however much time we have. Did I even set a timer? Okay, we didn't set a timer. It's fine. I have a timer over there. So what I'm going to speak about today is something that I've gotten over, and it's been really useful for me, and I think it'll be helpful for other people. And then as I go, I'm just going to, like I said, kind of keep it minimal editing and just upload the video as it is. So the topic is anxiety, being anxious. I was anxious about things, and don't get it messed up. I still get anxious. You get the feelings of adrenaline. I just know how to control and understand what it's for now, right? When you are about to speak and you start getting adrenaline, don't think of, oh, it's adrenaline. Why am I getting so nervous? Think, oh, adrenaline's pumping so that I'm ready to be pumped and have energy and say what I'm going to say and do what I'm going to do, right? So there's different ways to think about things. But I would tell you guys to read Atomic Habits, read about biology, read about neuroscience, read psychology, read about communication, and just try things if you are anxious, right? Because a lot of this is just me still growing to this day to more and more so not care about other people's opinions, and also to be able to actually not be anxious, to be able to control my emotion about being anxious about going to an event, going to a thing, showing up at a party, showing up here, talking to these people, talking to this girl, it's all these things, right? It's so important just to curate and build the things that crush anxiety, the things that crush you being not self-confident. Self-confidence is so big in everything, and if you can do more things to build self-confidence, I would always just recommend doing it. So whatever that looks like for you guys, I read a lot. I hope you guys do too, and I can even recommend some books and even talk about different topics over the next couple weeks. But besides the point, How did I get to the point where I was anxious all through about from second into like sixth, seventh, eighth grade, and every single time it was just getting better. I was still that type of person, but from the time when I was young, I would read a whole bunch. I would read in the library, at lunch, I would read after school in the car, I would do my homework and then read again. And I would just read like things that I liked to read. And like C. Jackson and Michael Vey and probably some others. But the point being, if anyone listens to Naval, there's a concept he talks about, which is a catch-22 around reading, which is you must read what you love until you love to read. Right? Start with boring things, start with small things that you like reading, that you enjoy reading. And as you get better, you'll just get bored of them naturally and progress into bigger and better things. As you grow older, as you go into new topics, you can always be ready to read about it. It's a superpower to be able to read, which I am going to do a video on why you should read, why you better read, and what you should read, how you can start, where you begin in any certain topic, which is in a foundational level. There's another thing Naval talks about, which is not building reading on a foundation of scaffolding, but a foundation of concrete, right? Like starting at the bottom of your thing, going to basics. Don't jump right into a new topic and be like, wow, this is really hard, I hate this so much. It's never going to work. So I'll talk about that in a different video. Now, continuing on. So I had anxiety all through this time, all through school, and then I would read a lot, and people in around sixth grade, I don't want to say started bullying me, but picking on me, right? And what like my answers was, it was in cognitive distortions would just say like my brain was just giving me answers like, oh, I'm feeling this, oh, people are doing this to me, it must be X, Y, and Z, right? And X, Y, and Z was reading, going to school, trying, doing work, because all around me, the cool kids, the people who I was trying to emulate that were cool, were not people that read, were not people that were smart, not people that were good influences on me, but not people that had good influences around them, right? Think, because if your conditioning kind of makes you who you are, mind you, as Tom Bilyeu says, your zip code, #1 predictor of your future, not even your IQ. So that's pretty interesting, right? But to say like that you get your conditioning and it makes you who you are would be an understatement. I mean, their parents made them the way they were. They made me the way I ended up being, right? Because that's who I was around. That's what I was trying to emulate. Not them making my decisions for me, but the influences around me, the things people do, the things that were cool around us, right? So I stopped reading. Like at a certain point, I stopped reading. I stopped trying to be smart. I remember one time in specific where the teacher asked a question. It was about like what frogs were or something like this. I don't remember the literal question, but like I knew the answer to this question, and it was just so simple, right? But this was the first time that I did not raise my hand to say the answer. I was like, okay, well, no one said anything to me and I'm good. But like I started giving myself reasons that I was getting bullied or picked on or whatever, is like, yeah, I was smart and that I tried to do things and that I wanted to read a lot of stories and stuff. And I didn't even think that reading was making me smart, even though I would have a wider vocabulary and I would be faster and faster at reading. And then later I would use reading to really start reading about things that are useful in life, like finance and psychology and just all these random topics that I really just got interested in, and I was just still start reading them even to this very moment, right? I'm still reading different books right now, right? John Maxwell's whatever, Think and Grow Rich, and then Atomic Habits are my books of choice right now. But really just always putting new information into your head to open up those extra doors, like that weren't in your mind before, thinking of different passageways that you can think through that you couldn't even do before. Right? And that's just from reading. That's from reading really great people's books, great people's minds in paper, right? Their life journey on paper. And so the point being, when I started giving up these things to try to fit into the crowd, and it began kind of working, right? I didn't get bullied anymore. Everyone was pretty cool with me. Everyone thought I was pretty cool. I would just try to do all these things, right? And mind you, like what I was saying about conditioning is, you don't start smoking weed because you thought of weed. You start smoking weed because you see people do it, and it's cool. And the people that do it are the people that are looked at as cool, right? So conditioning does decide where you go. And when I was 16 in 11th grade, I think, I dropped out of school. So to say that my friends didn't condition me and changed my route of life would obviously be an understatement. They did. but they didn't ruin my life, right? I love my life and I'm very proud of like where I'm going and what I'm doing, because I just kind of molded it to make it my own path. Like I was the person that dropped out of school. I was the guy that did this and did that. But it's just, I've kind of made it my way now and I'm really proud of it. So it's not really a problem for me, but it did change my route of life to be around these things. So mind that for your kids and for whatever, like keep them around and teach them what to do. Right? And people think it's not as serious as like saying, "Oh, I don't follow the rules," but then their kid literally starts walking around saying, "Oh, I don't follow the rules because my dad said it was funny when we," you know what I'm saying? It's just everything from 1 to 8 and 8 to 15 or whatever. It's conditioning. Everything it will predict what your kid's outcome is, less they ask questions why later and change it themselves, right? Deliberately. Like that's the only way. And no one told me about conditioning. Even to this day, no one's explained conditioning to me. It's just I've picked up on things over time of how it works and what happens. And I just derived my own judgment from it. Right? So, continuing on, I was anxious. We'll talk for a few more minutes, maybe 3. I was anxious, and this started to help me, but not help me. I was solving the wrong obstacle. Okay? This is an idea, again, by Tom Bilyeu, where it's, if you're solving the wrong obstacle, your problem won't solve after you've done it and you've done it and you've done it. This is the Einstein thing, right? You do something else so many times, the same thing so many times, don't expect a different outcome. But failing on purpose is actually good, even though people say it's bad. People teach you failing is bad and it's wrong. Don't fail. Don't mess up. Not true. Failing is the single best source of information you have to make you better, right? So, for example, if you take an obstacle that you see as the culprit of your problem, you take it, it doesn't work. Now you know something else, because that will give you some type of information, probably a lot more than you would assume. Now you know that the other obstacle, or one of the other two, or whatever, is confidently the right way. If you were going towards that wrong obstacle, you weren't confident because it was the wrong one. If you're going towards the other one, you weren't confident in it was being right because you didn't go towards it. So now you've built confidence rather than built self-doubt. Like you've built self-confidence by taking that step, even though you failed. Right? So you want to fail on purpose so you can find the right obstacle. If you don't find the right obstacle, you won't get the right outcome for your problem. You'll keep trying to solve the same thing. If you don't put new information in your head all the time from different books, from different people, from different podcasts, you will think of the same answers, solutions to your problems, and they won't work. And you will be confused why, but you have the same 70, 75, 80,000 thoughts clanking around in your head every single day, and they aren't going to produce any different outcomes for you. Okay. So remember that too. Get new information. Next. So I was an anxious person, wasn't solving the right obstacle. Now I'm very anxious all through high school, all through this time. Okay. Camera died, but we are back. So where was I? Oh yeah. So I'm in high school. I'm very anxious. I'm this person that's like solving the wrong obstacle and still just remaining anxious all the time, and like still not solving anxiety, and like I don't have the right information yet, clearly. So how do we solve this? Well, it happened for me as following. I found, and this is the tip for solving anxiety, if I'll just timestamp this so if someone wants to actually have the right information that I'm giving, is that I found a passion. I found a passion in snowboarding, actually, but this can be any passion, okay? And it just has to be a passion that, it can be a passion that you go outside for, but it just has to be a passion, and I'm telling you how to find it, okay? So this is how I found it. Let me move this other way. So I began snowboarding, and it allowed me to, when I would go up to people now, anywhere else, talk about it. I could talk about it, something I did, right? It made me, to me, cool, which even if self-confidence is temporarily kind of just like fake, like for me, it was kind of facade like the self-confidence that it gave me, because it was like, oh, you do one thing, but maybe I was just being imposter syndrome, right? And just like, oh, I'm not actually this cool, but really is like, oh, it's kind of cool. Snowboarding's pretty cool. Like people in Southern California where I actually live don't actually do that often, right? So it's kind of cool. It's kind of interesting. But for me, it was like, oh, I do one thing now. Oh, I'm so cool, right? But it was good because it brought good results. Me being self-confident, even counterfeitly, led to me doing a lot of things I wouldn't have done elsewise, and otherwise else, I guess. But what it what came from finding that passion is that like I could do all the social things, right? I could post it on Snapchat. I could join groups and communities and talk to people about it. I could do all these different things, and I just began to get out of my shell. I could talk to people about it and explain what it is and send pictures about it and all these different things, right? Just finding the passion. How do you find the passion? Well, try different things out, and as you try things, take note of one thing, okay? This is like a math equation you can do. When you put 1 unit of energy into something, how much energy do you get out of it? If you put 1 energy in and you get more than 1 out, make sure you mark that down and pursue, at least try this thing for longer. Unless if you get to a point where it gets too hard and you don't really find energy in solving that problem, you don't really like doing that, skip it, go to the next. But still be careful not to just leave it down and set it down and leave, because it might be something you can be passionate about. You can take and turn into big things. The reason you need self-confidence and to not fear other people's opinions anyways is because if you can't take big things that you do as your passion and go take it and make it your career, then you're going to have to do something else as your career. I want you to find passion in your career, in your work. Okay. So that's the point here. So try other things. If you try something and you put 1 unit of energy in and you get less than 1 out, 0, you get -1 energy out. Like you try basketball, you suck at it, but getting better does not seem fun to you or entertaining. It is boring. It is not fun. Seeing guys do good at basketball, it's cool, but it's not that cool. Don't care. Skip it, right? You get less energy out if you put 1 energy in, leave it alone. Put it down, onto the next. Try things out like this. You're going to have to try a lot of things. Take action. Action cures everything. Doing motion on something and researching it won't show you. Find the ideal person you want to be. Look at their life. Put their actual life down. If you want to be a writer who is healthy, and this is why visualization works. I'm going to give you another little tip from me. Visualization to me is like goal setting for your subconscious mind. So let me explain. For when you write down a goal on paper, you see it, but your subconscious mind doesn't like see it, feel it, hear it, like live it, right? It doesn't make you start taking the actions of that person yet. This is now why affirmations kind of come into the picture, right? If you say you are this guy in Italy in a big house who has an Italian wife and you have 5 cars and a real estate company, now you know, like if you say this, 100 times and you do it over a year, every single day you say this little paragraph, you say it twice, right? You'll start to do the things that person does because you're saying you are him. You have to do the things he does if you're going to be him, right? But this is why visualization is kind of like goal setting for your subconscious mind. If you think, you sit there for 30 minutes a day and you think of that person you want to be with the 5 cars, with the Italian wife, with the big house on the coast of Italy, with the real estate company, you now start to see that person. Your subconscious mind sees that and you start to take the actions of that person. If you want to be the guy at the big house in Italy, you have to kind of start doing some big things. If he owns a real estate company, you know where to go. If he has an Italian wife and lives in Italy, you know what direction you need to be setting your sails, right? Like the point being to make sure you have a timeline and find out who you want to be, but do the right things that they actually do. Do the things they really interact with and do them for a longer period of time. Maybe 3 months of doing something, 1.5 months of doing something. Every single day you try to be this writer. You get over these things and you start becoming a writer because that's who you want to be, right? If that is who you want to be and you get more energy out than you put in, follow that passion. Start making it your interest, your goals around that. And I think it'll help a lot of people start to crush anxiety because they have, like I said, now they have groups to go and they have things to talk about. They're interesting. They can, like I said, send photos about it, post photos about it, show about it. Oh, this is what I'm doing today. This is where I'm at. If anyone wants to come, invite people over, make new friends. Like it's all these things, right? And that is really the tip of the day. So take with that what you will. Thank you for watching, everybody. I'm going to try to cut it up into a little shorter than 20 minutes because I kind of talked longer than I thought. And I'll see you tomorrow.